When you play Dead by Daylight, especially as a killer, you know that not every killer is played exactly the same. Sure, the game is the same, but the killers are not, which is why killers are played differently. Similarly, but different. You need to hit the survivors 2 times and hook them 3 times to secure a kill. That part will always be the same. But when you're going from playing the Wraith to the Nurse, the game is a whole lot more different than you realize. You know that there's a skill barrier that you need to overcome, and it starts with the first killer you choose to conquer as. Maybe it's Myers, maybe it's the Pig. Whoever it is, there's more to the game when you're playing as killer. And if you're someone who's always struggling as a killer in Dead by Daylight, here are the reasons why you are a bad killer in Dead by Daylight, playing too much Survivor. So you are probably someone who has been playing this game for far too long as a Survivor, that you finally mustered up the balls to opt for killer. Congrats, my friend. Now you can know what it is like to finally know what killers have to go through on a regular basis. The only thing is, this isn't a Survivor game anymore. This is a killer game, such as you will now know what the hell killers have to go through on a consistent basis when they have to put up with survivors who are teabagging you, flashlighting you, and of course, destroying you in chases. You got so used to playing the game in third person, but the moment you switch to first person mode, you realize you are playing the wrong game mode, chasing the wrong survivor. Every killer at some point will come across a survivor who just knows where all the pallets are at and got thousands of hours looping killers in the same maps, and now you're the killer who has to contend against that. You made the mistake the moment you decide to chase the same survivor who has been looping you for over 3 generators, and you still haven't had the common sense to chase someone else. That's where you fucked up. Zero map awareness. You probably should know that there are some loop spots in Dead by Daylight that you should try to avoid chasing survivors in, because if the survivor is experienced enough, prepare to be wasting precious minutes just trying to get a single hit as a killer. New killer. Alright, so you do play killer, but you realize that there are over 30 other killers to choose from, not just playing the same go-to 3 killers like you always do in Dead by Daylight, like Myers, the Pig, or the Trapper. Now you decide to play a brand new killer, and you decide to choose the Huntress or the Deathslinger. The problem is that these killers can attack from a distance, but operate differently. One killer has a harpoon gun, and the other uses hatchets. And just because you are great as the Trapper, that doesn't mean you'll be great as the Huntress or the Deathslinger. You camp. To this day, people still camp, and you are one of them. Sure, you don't face camp because that will let the survivor get a free unhook, but you camp from afar. Maybe a survivor pissed you off during your chases, and you know what? You said screw it, you're gonna be camping that survivor, because at that point, you don't even care if the other survivors live, just as long as that survivor dies. Swinging too early. When you play as a killer, especially if you are a new killer, swinging a little early will cost you. You'll get used to learning how to lunge with your hits, but missing that one hit as a killer could be the difference of you downing that survivor or that survivor getting to the next pallet. So don't miss your swings. Getting angry. If being angry solved my problems, heck, I'd be angry all the time, but it doesn't. And that's where you fucked up by being angry. You need to be calm when you play as a killer. You got Gen Rush. There are 2 generators left and you haven't killed a single survivor. It's not over, buddy. Just keep playing, because it's not over until it's officially over, which is why you brought No One Escapes Death and No Way Out, to make sure you give these survivors a run for their money. Blaming the game. At this point, you just blame the game entirely on why this game playing as a killer is trash. You said to yourself, fuck this game, and you're going back to Survivor. You realize that putting in the hundreds of hours required to be good as a killer in Dead by Daylight is not worth it, and you feel like you shine best as a survivor, not killer. Has this killer experience humbled you? No, because if it did, you wouldn't be this fed up about being a killer. If you know that playing killer is not so easy, yet you're still the same person who will teabag the killers at the exit gates. And of course, continue being toxic as you always do. And so, you're back to being a survivor like the pleb you are. But at the end of the day, whether I'm a good killer or a bad killer, it doesn't stop me from playing Dead by Daylight.